What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to the Draft Report. In today's video, we will be talking about 2023 Heisman winner and LSU quarterback Jayden Daniels. So let's get into the film. Daniels is a thin quarterback standing 6'4", 210, but what he lacks in size he more than makes up with speed. This play is a great example of that as he goes 85 yards to the house untouched against this Florida defense on a little zone read. Daniels will easily run in the 4.4s, maybe even the 4.3s at the combine, putting him at the top of the league in speed, especially for the quarterback position. Daniels this year tallied over 1,200 yards on the ground with 10 touchdowns, averaging 11 yards a carry when you take out sacks and kneels. That is and puts him in elite company as one of the greatest rushing quarterbacks to ever play in college football, and this is by far his best trait. This play from the same Florida game shows Daniels' great vision as a runner as well as his speed and quickness. So, on the snap, Daniels goes through his progressions and doesn't really see much and sees a hole open up through the A-gap, so he decides, I'm going to take off, and just with a quick burst gets to the second level quickly. Here, breaks a little tackle, and then right here, he has someone chasing him from behind, but he's so fast he's going to be able to make that up. But what he's really worried about is how he's going to be able to house this with 3 blue jerseys and only 2 guys lead blocking for him. And what Daniels does so well here is he sets up his blocks. He pushes this upfield to the right, which gets this guy out of position, and this guy believes that he needs to get back to the left. And then Daniels pushes it up to the left even more, and now that guy's in a bad position. He's able to flip his block, and he takes it to the house. From the other angle, you can see Daniels' vision even better as he sets up his blocks perfectly to take this to the house. See, he gets through his reads, runs through the gap, quick burst, speed, is able to break a tackle there, and then here he pushes this outside and then cuts it back in quickly to get this guy off balanced, and then he's going to push it upfield to the left to set up this block towards the outside here. And then at the last second, once that block is there, he's going to switch directions and weave in and out for the easy 52-yard rushing touchdown. Daniels is truly amazing with the legs and will be among the top end of NFL quarterbacks when it comes to pure scrambling ability. He's a threat that any defense has to worry about, and it just makes the game so much easier for him as a passer. Daniels' second biggest strength outside of his rushing ability is his deep ball accuracy. While Daniels might not have the strongest arm, he makes up for that with accuracy down the field. Daniels this season had an insane 66% completion rate on passes 20-plus yards downfield, and he did that on 51 attempts, which is a very large sample size. On those plays, he threw 22 touchdowns and 0 picks, giving him an absurd 149.3 quarterback rating when targeting downfield. Way higher than anyone else in this draft class, and would put him firmly at first in the NFL at deep ball accuracy. This play is a great example of that as he throws this little seam streak to Malik Neighbors right on the money, right over the shoulder, puts it where only his guy can get it and doesn't give the safety room to go and get it. And Daniels did this multiple times in this game and in other games, just putting almost every deep throw on the money for his spectacular outside receivers. This play again from the Florida game shows Daniels' great deep ball accuracy, but also his willingness and aggressiveness when targeting downfield. So this play, it looks like Florida's going to blitz as they have 7 dudes on the line, but they're actually going to drop 7 into coverage and play a cover 4 shell. And what cover 4 does is really stresses the offense to throw it in the intermediate part of the field because there's 4 quarters, as we call it, where there's 4 deep safeties, and it's going to make it really tough for an offense to be that deep because there are 4 guys back, and it's really trying to force the offense to throw it short or run the ball. And so LSU is going to run the main route on this play is Brian Thomas on a streak, but really the purpose of this route mainly is just to clear out a cover 4 if they do run cover 4, and rarely against cover 4 you would be able to get this pass off. But on this play, we'll see Daniels is not afraid to do this. Shows blitz, they drop a bunch into coverage. Daniels is not fazed by this. And on the first read, Thomas doesn't really look open. He has about a step lost to this defender, and this safety's helping over top. So Daniels, I wouldn't hate if he got off this progression, but he wants to stick on it a little longer, trust his guy, and right here, Thomas hits that next step of his speed, and now he's even with the guy, and I would trust Thomas to beat him on this route, but still the safety has help over top, so not a good pass yet. But then Daniels stays on it. The safety still over top, but not really doing anything. We go frame by frame right here. The safety's dead. He believes that this route is over, so he can kind of start to get down. But Daniels wants to throw this deep ball. He sticks on it for an extra look or two because he trusts his guy so much. And at this point, Thomas has a step. He's faster than this guy, and the safety is looking down, would have to flip his hips, get all the way over top. He's not going to be able to get back on this ball. So as soon as this safety flips his hips like he does, Daniels, as soon as he flips those hips, Daniels launches this thing, and that safety has no chance. Thomas has a good probably 3 steps on this corner, and Daniels hits him in stride. Great ball tracking by Thomas, but Daniels, this isn't an inaccurate throw by putting it out there. This is the spot you want to put it. If he forces this towards the boundary, it could get caught up here, and this corner could undercut it and pick it. If he puts it too far out to the right, this guy could undercut it and pick it. He needs to throw with perfect depth and with perfect accuracy. Place it right in between the two zones, and he does that perfectly. Drops it in the basket. We'll watch it in full speed. Daniels, they show blitz. They drop 7, and then waits, trusts his guy. Perfect spot. Touchdown. Ices the game. While Daniels is great as a scrambler and throws immaculate deep balls, he is not there to an NFL level when having to run short and intermediate plays, as in like a true offense. So here's just going to be a little short play. Alabama's going to blitz. They're showing 7 in the box. All 7 are going to blitz, and it's going to be one-on-ones on the boundary. So second best receiver in the country here, Malik Neighbors, is on a safety. So this is a good play to run. This is going to be his first read. It's just going to be a curl right to the sticks. And the goal of this play is just to hit Neighbors with timing. If they blitz, just a one-on-one, trust your guy. And what you have to do here is throw with good timing. You have to hit the top of your drop, trust your guy, and throw it. You can't be scared of picks in this situation, especially against the blitz. And Daniels just doesn't have that anticipation yet, as we'll see. So here, hits the top of his drop, and the ball needs to be out. He's curling at the 35. Ball needs to be out right now. Trust your guy. Malachi Moore's hips are flipped this way. You can tell his weight's on his right foot or left foot, and he's not going to be able to get downhill fast enough. So you have to trust your guy. This ball has to be out if you're curling at the 35. And you can tell Thomas is starting to break right now. You can tell Malachi Moore is not going to be able to get to it. Where's the ball? Still in Daniels' hand. One more frame. Malik Neighbors is all the way turned. Malachi Moore is out of the play. He's turned all the way around. Where's the ball? In Daniels' hand. Malik Neighbors is wide open right now. The ball should be on him at the sticks. First down. This would be a huge pickup. Where's the ball? Just now leaving Daniels' hand. And as we see, Malachi Moore has time to adjust because this throw is late. Daniels takes an extra step. The ball should be on Neighbors right now. It should not be in Daniels' hand. And broken up. Huge third down. Game-changing play if you can pick this up. But just doesn't have that timing in him right now. And I need to see that anticipation as a pocket passer for him to be a star at the next level, and he just doesn't have that right now. Here's another example of Daniels just being late on a throw. So this is against Alabama again. The concept on this play, Bama's going to run cover 3, and this guy's going to run a drag. He's going to run an out. He's going to run a up and in, and he's going to run a curl. And this is really to stress the middle of the defense, stress these linebackers into making decisions to choose either, the outbreaker, the inbreaker, or the drag. And this ends up being a pretty good play design here from LSU. So as we see, Daniels gets the snap, good pocket, and right here we see this route. So this linebacker draws all of his attention to Neighbors because Neighbors has some separation here. So this linebacker is more worried about Neighbors than Kyron Lacey right here. And so Daniels has all this room in between this linebacker and the safety to make this throw. He has enough zip on his ball to rip that in there. This guy's not going to undercut it. Right now, he could honestly throw this, but I'm fine with him waiting an extra tick and really seeing how this develops. But Daniels right here, ball definitely needs to be out. Right there, ball definitely needs to be out. Right there, ball definitely needs to be out. He's had enough time. This linebacker's out of the play. It's really between this guy and his receiver, and he has all the space to zip it in there and give his receiver a chance. He has already lost about 2 yards because he's late, but right now if he throws it, he could still make up for it. But Daniel still has the ball, finally getting rid of it. And right here, that's a decent tight window, but he made it way harder on himself than it needed to be. This is going to have a lot of zip on it to get there with this guy breaking down with his hips facing the right direction. He's probably going to be able to get there in time. Luckily for him, Kyron Lacey does a great job boxing out and really getting good positioning here. But at the next level, this is very well could be a pick, but I guarantee will be an incompletion because the timing on this is just late. Right here, the ball needs to be out. He's not even thinking about throwing. Look at this. He's not even thinking about throwing. He's not in throwing position. This is where you need to be throwing it, not give your receiver, um, make your receiver have to go box someone out like he's playing in the NBA to catch a pass like this. This is just poor decision making and poor timing from Daniels, but he got lucky and ended up as a touchdown for LSU. So it worked out for him in college, but at the next level, this will not work. Daniels also very rarely at LSU had to actually work through progressions and play like an NFL style scheme. So here, same game against Bama. Not going to draw out the play, but I just want you to watch his eyes. He's eyeing down Malik Neighbors this entire time. And this is how their offense mostly ran. It was mostly just one read and go. And that one read is normally pretty good when you have Malik Neighbors, who will be a top 10 pick, and Brian Thomas, who will be a first round pick most likely. When you have those guys, it's pretty safe to just be one read because they're going to beat their guy pretty quickly almost every time. But in a game like this against Bama, who has NFL level secondary, that's not going to work. He's eyeing down Malik Neighbors for his entire route. And this entire time, the pocket's constricting on him. You need to just be able to throw this check down here. And I know it's not going to be the big pickup that you want, but right here, you have someone in your face. None of your receivers are open. Actually, this guy's open, but you never look at this side of the field or this side of the field this entire time. For this entire 30-yard route, you've been looking at one guy, and that one guy has not been open once. So get off that read as soon as you see there's two safeties over top, just worrying about this one guy. So why are you locking on this one read? I know he's great, but he's not that good. Get to your second read, throw this check down, throw this flat route. I mean, you have to do that at the next level. You can't just always be big play hunting. And Daniels, most of the time, is pretty much one read, and if it's not open, he's going to scramble. And that works in college. But as you see here, against a team with a lot of NFL talent, it's going to lead to sacks. And, look, his eyes are on one dude the entire time. He never gets off that read. And by the time, good 3-4 seconds in, he realized, oh, I need to run. Instead of hitting this check down, he's like, oh, I'm going to run, and takes a sack. Daniels on the film looks pretty good under pressure, but he actually had a 32% pressure to sack rate, which is astronomically high, and I'm very worried about how he's going to handle pressure in the NFL because plays like this are going to happen a lot more often where if you're a one-read guy, that one read is not going to be open a lot of times in the NFL, so you need to get off that read or you need to just take off. He could get this edge against Dallas Turner. He could break out, but he just is so used to his line creating gaps for him, and when they don't, he takes sacks. He took 22 sacks this year on only 65 pressures, which again is crazy high and needs to be fixed at the next level. If you can't handle pressure, you're not going to make it as a quarterback. While Daniels doesn't excel at making reads, he does show some times on film where he is pretty good at it. Like here, you can tell his read is this high-low on the right side with the little outbreaker and then the high post, a little flood concept on the outside, a high-low, but he gets off that rather quickly, turns his attention to the middle of the field, reads this well, and with good timing delivers a strike to Malik Neighbors. And this is a simple throw, but one that you have to make at the next level. He gets off not one, but two reads, and quickly on to the next guy. He's able to get to the backside of this play, which I really like, and you see those pocket movements. He's bouncing around under pressure, isn't a statue in the pocket, and delivers a great pass. It's a 10-yard gain, but this is what NFL teams want to see. The scrambling's great, the deep ball's great, but if you can't do this at a high level, you're not going to make it. And I think this is where he really has to improve, and it's good that he shows sometimes on film where he can get through a play. This is a good angle of it. You see his eyes. I mean, within an instant, he recognizes that's not open, snaps back to the other side, and delivers it. If he did this on the last play, um, they're kicking an extra point instead of a field goal, most likely. And just those things are huge at the next level. Another big problem Daniels has as a pocket passer is inconsistent footwork, which leads to bad ball placement and accuracy on the short and intermediate throws. So here's just a basic little flat route. This running back's just going to run a little check down out of the backfield, and Daniels is going to hit him pretty quickly. But this is a throw that has to be completed 100% of the time. You cannot miss this throw. Wide open guy. Just inexcusable to leave this out like this. And why does this happen? Because look, right here, pretty good base in the feet. You see, he's aimed at his target. He has his feet in the ground. But as we move, as this play progresses, you see he falls on his back foot for no reason. Um, like why is he moving this right foot back like that and falling backwards? That causes the ball to go inside. If he just steps into this normally and leaves it out for his receiver, that's fine. But he does this weird thing with his feet where he wants to fall back and it just doesn't work. And the one spot you cannot leave this throw is inside because that's the only way the defender is going to get this. If he puts it outside, lets his running back run against a linebacker, he probably has a touchdown and he ends up with 0 because I guess he was just lazy and didn't want to get his feet turned around. Just a poor throw. And, not one that's going to kill you in this game, but if you do this a lot in the NFL, coaches aren't going to like it, and it's a big problem. He needs to fix his ball placement on these, and his footwork's just bad as well. And a big reason why I've shown all these pocket passing clips against Bama is because although he had over 100 rushing yards, they really forced him to be a pocket passer this game by having spies and running a lot of zone. And that's a big reason why they won big because Daniels had to be a pocket passer, and their offense just couldn't score like they normally do because he wasn't able to run as much. And I think that's going to be a strategy NFL teams will do if he can't figure this out. As I mentioned earlier, Daniels has great accuracy on his deep balls, but his arm talent is not elite. He has enough arm talent to get by, but he's not going to fit any tight window throws and not going to make any insane long 70-plus yard throws. And here's just a good example of that. It's a deep pass. Brian Thomas gets open over the edge of the defense, and Daniels decides why not throw it, and he just underthrows it a little bit so it can't get caught. And this isn't a bad throw. I mean, he's throwing it from his own 40, so it travels a good 45 yards, but at an NFL level, you need to be putting this deeper. His receiver has to slow down for it, which causes him to not be able to outrun him. If he puts this out towards the 10 and lets Brian Thomas run under it, he's going to outrun this defender and be able to get there. I don't know if Daniels just didn't put everything he had into it or if this is just his arm. I think it's a little bit of both, but you need to have a little more juice in your arm and be able to hit these throws at the next level. If you want to be elite. And I think Daniels just doesn't have that tier A of arm talent, but he has enough to get by. Another big thing to talk about in Daniels' game is his willingness to take hits. From almost any other position, you'd love a guy to be willing to do anything for his team to get an extra yard or whatever. But as a quarterback, especially someone that's going high in the draft and someone that is very skinny, I don't think that's someone who should be taking a massive amount of hits, especially when you have the ability to just slide. In all the film I watched, I don't think I saw Daniel slide once, and he would choose to do things like this instead. Goes up the middle and then hurdles for no reason and gets decked. He gets tackled by 3 dudes here. Not only does he hurdle, he gets hit on the legs here, he gets hit again, and then he gets absolutely clotheslined by this guy coming out of nowhere. I love the aggressiveness, and he does this all the time, just like willing to take hits. But there's a time where you can just slide or go out of bounds, stuff like that. And for a guy that's that skinny, I feel like injuries are going to come if he takes this many hits. But honestly, in college, he hasn't been too banged up. And so until it's a problem, I wouldn't tell him to stop. But it is a slight cause for concern, even though it is kind of fun to watch Slim Reaper just decide to be Derrick Henry and try to truck people, but it's probably not a effective method for success against bigger, faster, stronger dudes in the NFL that can hurt you more than the guys in college. So that's going to wrap up the film portion of today's episode, but I just want to do a little final thoughts and a grade for Jayden Daniels. So overall, he is a great runner, truly, truly elite as a runner. He is more of a scrambler type than an improviser, if that makes sense. There's guys like Patrick Mahomes is fast, but he uses his legs to create throws. Daniels more just uses his legs to pick up yards himself, which is fine. But I would like to see him a little more dance around in the backfield and make some throws on the run. He just doesn't do that as much as you would think for someone who's as good as a scrambler as he is. But anyways, as a pocket passer, he shows some promise, but for being a 23-year-old, he doesn't have much film being like truly a guy that gets through progressions quickly, gets to the backside of reads, stuff like that. He's just not an NFL level at that yet. He was very much a one read and scramble type guy, which can work in the league, but it's not going to be super effective. So he needs to develop in that asset of the game, but he does show sometimes the ability to quickly get through reads and quickly make plays under pressure, but 32% pressure to sack rate needs to get fixed. And if that doesn't, that's really going to hurt him in the league. But again, on film, under pressure, he looks better than the numbers would say. So I'm not too worried about that. But I am worried about, just the timing, the rhythm, the precision of his short game. And he just doesn't have that great ball placement or anticipation, or he just doesn't seem like super in sync with the receivers on timing on short stuff, and that needs to get fixed. He needs to become a true quarterback when it comes to that. But again, as a deep ball passer, he is truly elite. He has enough arm talent to throw to all three levels, and as a deep ball passer, he is really good at dropping it in the bucket with good touch, puts enough air under it, and can really throw any pass on the field, but maybe not going to throw a ton of tight window throws just because he lacks a little arm talent, but he makes up for that with deep ball accuracy. Even those receivers were great. A lot of those numbers were because of him, and his great receiving core shouldn't discount what he did at LSU. So overall, Daniels reminds me a lot of Justin Fields because he is so elite with the legs, but I just don't know if he can actually operate within the structure of an offense and be relied upon to be a game manager type guy. So Fields, has been good, but most likely going to get replaced this offseason, be on a second team. So can Daniels be a Super Bowl winning quarterback, a top guy? Maybe not, but he can be a guy that's going to be very fun to watch. I can guarantee you that. And he also will give fans a lot to root for. He'll have the highlight plays, and he can make some amazing throws, and he can, make some amazing plays with the legs, but I just don't think the consistency game to game, down to down as a pocket passer is going to be there, and I really think that's what you need to be in that top tier of quarterbacks. But I could definitely see him being a, middle of the pack to high end starter, and he definitely will be a pretty solid day one starter. He has a little boom bust because of the size. If he keeps taking hits like that, he could get injured a lot, but I do think of him as a pretty surefire starter year one in the league. So I have a 6.52 out of 8 grade on him, leaving him as a very high second round pick, but with the QB bonus bumps him up to around a mid first. So I would take him in the first round, maybe not in the top 10 like some people would, but in the back half of the first round, I would be willing to take him. The Lamar Jackson comparison is a little rich for me because he's about to be a 2-time MVP, and saying Jayden Daniels will be a 2-time MVP is I don't really think that's fair to him because he's not the pocket passer Lamar is, and he's honestly not as good of a runner as Lamar is. Lamar is the greatest running quarterback ever, and I'm not afraid to say that. He's faster than Jayden Daniels, and he is a little bigger and more elusive than him. So the Lamar comps are a little outrageous. Justin Fields is the comp, and I think if he turns out like Justin Fields in a better situation, it could work out for him. So that's going to wrap up the video. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.